So candidates, welcome back. So we're now looking at a question from November 2021, paper 3 IGSCE. We're told that show that BC is 75 centimeters for 2 marks and calculate the angle BAC for 2 marks, totaling 4 free marks, right? So how do we show that BC is equal to 75 centimeters, right? This is a right angle triangle, and for right angle triangles, the Pythagoras theorem applies, and the Pythagoras theorem says c squared is equals to what? A squared plus b squared, right? So c squared is the longest side for a triangle, the hypotenuse, and a or b can either be the opposite or what, or the adjacent side, right? So we make either a or b the subject, right? So for this instance, we just make what? A the subject. So to find, we say what? C squared minus what? Minus b squared is equals to what? Is equals to a squared. A signaling what? Side BC, right? So our hypotenuse was it what? Was it 125? So 125 squared minus what? Minus 100 squared for our other side, minus 100 what? Squared is equals to what? Is equals to a squared, right? So 125 squared minus 100 squared, we punch that into our calculators, saying 125 squared minus 100 squared, and we get what? 5,625. So 5,625 is equals to what? Is equals to a squared, right? Then how do you get rid of what? Of the square? We what? We introduce what? The square root on the left hand side and the right hand side, right? So the value of a was what? The square root of what? The square root of 5,625, and we get what? 75. So a is equals what? 75, and a that's signaling what? BC, right? So BC 75 cm, hence we've shown is required by occasion. So we've already begged 2 free marks, right? So another thing I should have highlighted also, so we could have tweaked this Pythagoras theorem to suit what for our question. So for that instance, c squared, c was what? The hypotenuse. That was what we should have said what? B a squared, right? You could have said b a squared, signal what? The hypotenuse. Then for what? For side BC is equals to what? Is equals to BC squared plus what? Plus CA squared, right? Then you make what? BC subject to formula, but this also what? This also works out, right? So let's move on to what? To the second question. Calculate angle BAC, right? So for angle BAC, I think this space should be enough. So for BAC, right? For this angle, right? So now that's what we are using what? Our ratios, right? So we'll say what? First we said we identify what? The sides of your triangle. So opposite this is what? The hypotenuse, as we've discussed. Then BAC, if I adjust an angle here, so that makes what? AC what? The adjacent, right? So we're given what? The adjacent and the hypotenuse, and we need to find what? BAC. So we take a look at our ratios. The one with adjacent and the hypotenuse, that's what? That's cos. So we say what? Cos BAC is equals to what? Is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse, that's 100 over what? Over 125, right? We make what? Angle BAC the subject, so angle BAC is equals to what? Arc cos 100 over what? Over 125. Then punching this into your calculator, so we're saying what? Shift arc cos 100 over 125, and you get angle BAC at what? At 36.89 degrees. So let's fully write that. That's what? That 36.8698989765, And let's write it to what? To one decimal place. So angle BAC was at what? Was at 36 point what? 0.9 degrees. Easy. 3, 4 marks questions.